One of the most exciting teams in the NFL last season, the Kansas City Chiefs, are looking to do it all again in 2019. And we're going to talk to their starting right tackle, one of the best in the game, Mitchell Schwartz, here on PFF TV. Mitch joins us live on the phone right now. Mitch, thanks for doing this.
You're welcome. Glad to be here.
So the first thing I want to ask you is your kind of outlook for the Chiefs. You know, you're in the thick of it. What are you guys looking to do this season?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty optimistic. We got a pretty good one at quarterback, and so I think, in this league, especially these days, that kind of sets the tempo. So, very optimistic. I mean, last year, looking back, you realize how close you were. That New England game could have gone either way, and then, the Super Bowl could have gone either way for them. So, very optimistic. Super Bowl is the goal. I mean, that's what we're working towards. That's where all the focus is, and making sure that we're doing everything day to day to be able to get there, because, we had that feeling last year, and the feeling that you kind of let it slip through your fingers, and those opportunities are few and far between in the NFL, and so you need to capitalize on them.
I mean, Mahomes was obviously spectacular last year, the 5,000 yards, 50 touchdowns. Everybody's kind of predicting some kind of regression just because the numbers were so crazy a year ago. How do you think he's going to play this year?
Yeah, I mean, the numbers are crazy, so it's hard to say that you can have back when that has never been done in the first place. But I think even if the numbers aren't there, he'll get better. He'll make better reads, more accuracy, better decisions, all that stuff. That's something that the really cool part of a team with him and seeing him work day to day is he puts more pressure on himself than anybody. I mean, coach can get up there and then walk him through the right reads and make sure his footwork's right and all that, but. Pat's doing that, on a play-to-play basis himself, and he gets, pretty frustrated when he's not doing the things he needs to do to make the team successful. And so he kind of steers the ship from that perspective in terms of personal accountability, and then that trickles down into everybody else. So I think he's going to have a better season for sure. Whether the stats bear that out, we'll see. But he's going to be more consistent across the board, which is kind of scary to think about.
Yeah, absolutely. What's it like blocking for a quarterback like Mahomes? Because so much of his big plays, they come out of structure. He's one of those guys that will extend the play, that will move around back there. Is it a good thing for a right tackle because that whatever happens, he's able to kind of make magic happen and extend plays? Or is it a giant pain in the ass because you don't know if he's going to stay where he's supposed to be and, be where you're supposed to be blocking for?
No, it's a good thing. He's also got the ability to get out of some tricky situations when you get beat. So mobility and an ability to maneuver the pocket and break contain and all that is definitely a good thing. You block for where he's supposed to be. On every play, the offensive line knows the quarterback's launch point, whether it's, a shorter pass, a longer pass, some sort of move the pocket type of situation. Maybe a set of points over the right tackle instead of the center. So all that, what spot to block for, and then you just go off of the defensive line's reaction at that point. I mean, if I'm blocking a guy and he's no longer trying to run into me and he's trying to run away from me, a good chance Pat's probably contained at that point and rolled right. So you block for where he's supposed to be, and then just kind of react from there. And I think it's to the benefit of the tackles. Some teams go into a game saying, "Hey, we can't let him out of the pocket. We got to make sure we keep contained at all costs." And then say that defensive end has a good inside move. You kind of shut that down for that week just because they're so conscious about his ability to break contain.
Right. You see that all the time with Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay offensive line. There are plenty of teams that don't even bother essentially rushing Aaron Rodgers properly around the edge because of that. They're so terrified that he'll break contain.
Right.
One thing I wanted to talk about, Bill Belichick gets talked about as the best coach in the game, and Sean McVay with the Rams is the sort of flavor of the month. But how overlooked do you think Andy Reid is in terms of being just a great head coach, and how much of what he does with the system and with the detailed plays and scheme kind of puts you guys in a great position to succeed, whether it's blocking, whether it's skill position guys, or whether it's Mahomes, a quarterback?
Oh, I mean, he's the mastermind of our entire offense, our entire team. So all the success that Pat had last year, that the skill guys have, that's all his coach is sitting up there creating new plays. And he's got obviously a wealth of knowledge that he can bank on, and tried and true stuff, and going back to the West Coast offensive groups and all that. But every week he's also making up new stuff. He knows how to attack defenses. I think that's one thing that some of the lesser coordinators, they just kind of say, oh, the Chiefs ran this play, let's try that. The Rams ran this play, let's try that. But it doesn't necessarily fit into their scheme or their offense. They're just kind of seeing stuff that, oh, that worked for them, let's try the exact same thing. I think Coach has the ability to understand what the defense is trying to get done and then specifically attack that, and whether that's a play that another team ran or whether that's a play that he can kind of just conjure up in his mind because his football mind is just so brilliant and works that way. I think that long term, looking back on his career, he's going to be looked on more favorably than, like you said, in the moment it doesn't seem like he's getting the proper due. I'm guessing a little bit of that has to do with Philadelphia, the 4 championships, and not being able to win the Super Bowl.
Right.
But the playoffs, they're a crapshoot. So really, the goal is just to be consistently good every year, and then once you get to the playoffs, anything can happen. And so, I think it's something that we understand what we have in Coach and how awesome he is, and it's not just the brilliant offensive mind. I think he's the best leader I've ever seen in terms of setting goals. Talking to us honestly. There's no fluff. If he needs to address something with the team, he can address it, and then we move on from there. He treats us well. Everyone loves him. I've never met anyone who's played for him that, oh, Coach Reid doesn't like him. That doesn't work. Everyone loves him. Everyone's got a great story or two about him, and so great person, great coach, and a great leader. And I think that it's going to be looked upon very favorably once whenever he shuts it down and retires. That the volume of work is going to be incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we've hit the stuff that we have to hit because we're a football entity here, but I want to get to the important stuff, Mitch. You're a social media savvy guy. You're young. You understand how these things work. How have you allowed your dog to amass 4 times the amount of Instagram followers that you have?
I wish I had an answer for that. If I knew why he was so popular, I'd probably try to steal some of those followers myself.
Maybe it's the hair.
I think it's the hair. I'm definitely trending down on hair, and those
yeah,
pups are trending up on hair. No, it's crazy. We got the first dog, and we didn't want to be those annoying people that post the dog photos every 1 or 2 days, and we just figured, hey, we'll create this profile for the dog, and if people want to follow, great. It kind of gives us an outlet to post the cute stuff, and my wife just did an awesome job, bringing that account along, and I think it's like 112, 113,000 at this point. And, he had one photo as a puppy in the fall. He's like standing on his hind legs and his leaves all around and his little front paws. You can see them pretty clearly. And it's an adorable photo. And that one got picked up basically like 3 straight falls by like every dog account that's known on Instagram. So I think that was the initial serious boost. But yeah, I give credit to my wife on that one. She's the one that handles that account, and she does a great job with it, and obviously she's doing something much better than I do on my own account.
Nice. I don't know if everyone knows this about you, but not only are you one of the best right tackles in the game, arguably the best, Mitch, but you're also like a barbecue guru.
Yeah, when I was in Cleveland, I had a small apartment, and I was not allowed to have any grills on the balcony, so that was one of the first things that when I got to Kansas City, and I wanted a house because I wanted a backyard and the ability to have grills and cook outside and barbecue. And that you land in Kansas City, and you better know your barbecue. So I got a traditional propane grill. I got a big green egg, which is kind of the best multitasker. It can get up to 800 degrees. It can do 225, and I used that for about a year, and then it just wasn't the results that I wanted. So I switched to the Traeger, which I'm totally fine, putting a brisket on at night, setting up a program, walking out at 8 a.m., and, the brisket's pretty much done. So that was the biggest thing that kind of revolutionized my barbecue game is, just being able to have something that regulates temperature control. That way you can kind of live your life a little bit more. You're not stuck at home for 12 hours and, tending to your brisket all day.
Yeah, forget those people. I want no part of throwing a log on the fire every few minutes for like 12 hours. Those Traeger things are amazing. So there's a lot of people out there, barbecue snobs, guys that are, everything has to be done a certain way, otherwise it's wrong and you're a bad man for doing it. What I like about you is that if the food is good, you're happy. It doesn't need to be done a certain way. You don't need to be doing it on the thing with the, one log on the fire every 10 minutes. You're happy. I took no end of crap for finishing a thing of ribs in the oven, you're like, they look good to me. I'd eat them.
Yeah, you got a lot of hate for that one. Some people love that process, and for them, I think it's more about the process and the end result. And so you're kind of after a different thing if that's what you're really loving to do.
I'm about whatever gets the job done. All right, let's pivot back to football for a couple of quick questions, and then I'll let you go. The first one is, how hard is playing in the AFC West with that murderer's row of pass rushers going up against right tackles every single year?
No, it's really fun. I love it. Yeah, it's not great.
You can tell us, Mitch. You don't have to lie. We know it's hard.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal. I mean, you're going up against like 3 or 4 of the best 5 guys in the NFL on a consistent basis, and so it's tough. I mean, you got to go against Vaughn twice a year. When I first got here, you went against Khalil Mack twice a year. You go against Bosa and Ingram twice a year. You drafted a couple guys at defensive end. It could be pretty good. Obviously, the bunch have got Chubb, so now they paired a guy with Vaughn. Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely loaded.
How happy were you when the Raiders traded away Khalil Mack?
It wasn't a bad thing. It was definitely good for AFC West tackles. That's for sure. I mean, we saw it last year. It's kind of crazy that he needed to be traded to kind of understand on the national level how important he is. But yeah, all those guys. I mean, it's just that they're not one-trick ponies. They can defend the run, they can defend the pass, and then in terms of pass rushing, they don't have just the one move that works. I mean, those elite guys don't get to where they are by having the one move that works. Vaughn can spin inside, can obviously run by you. He's gotten a lot stronger the last few years. If you're sitting on either of those two and your weight's not right, he'll just straight up launch you into the quarterback. Yeah, I mean, it's just, those 6 games you're facing, upper echelon elite pass rushers, and, it's not very fun.
So the last thing I wanted to hit was, it's actually related to the last question. We've been for years saying that, right tackles are just as important as left tackles in the game. We've articulated that a bunch of different ways, but how would you sum up this idea that it's not all about left tackles, the Blindside movie, pay attention to right tackles as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Trent Brown signing is the biggest indication of that. The Raiders gave him the biggest contract ever for a lineman and decided to put him at right tackle because, 1, he played most of his career there, and 2, he's in the AFC West going up against all these guys, and, that's where they tend to line up. So, funny enough that's a team that kind of makes that move, and it plays out that way. But, yeah, I mean, I've done it, a few years, whether it was in Cleveland or whether it was in Kansas City, where I would just kind of look at the schedule and you go down the list of pass rushers and try to figure out, which guy you're going to see most of the time, and kind of rate that week go harder for me, harder for Joe, or harder for me, harder for Fish. And it's usually even or harder for me every one of those years. So, I think that the left tackle, right tackle thing is definitely antiquated, especially with all the shotgun. And if a guy's looking left, I mean, the right side is his blind side. You see plenty of strip sacks from the right side where the quarterback just straight up never sees the guy. And, the blind side is the other side of where he's looking. It's not necessarily, a direction based on handedness.
Absolutely. I'm so glad to hear an actual NFL player articulate that as well, as opposed to us, where the immediate response is, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't play the game. What would you know? Mitch, thanks so much for doing this. It's been awesome.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. This has been Mitchell Schwartz on the Kansas City Chiefs prospects, barbecue, and why his dog is better at Instagram than he is. Make sure you check out all the rest of our content on PFF TV on YouTube.